Hello, friends and comrades. 660 days of war. Putin held yesterday annual conference for few hours in which he talked about the war with Ukraine, about the West, about the Russian economy. And he also said that now Russia is advancing on almost all the fronts. Let us see how the ground situation is unfolding in the war zone. In southern war zone on Kherson front, Russian army raided many times in the eastern side of Krinky Bridgehead, where Ukrainians are still holding, and also known as Greenhouse. No gains though. Ukrainians are able to continue their logistic supply through Loaf Island and across the Dnieper River, and thus maintaining not only Krinky but other bridgeheads. On Zaporizhia front, towards Rabotino, the Russian army advanced west of Rabotino. Battle near Novoyodrovka and Verbov continues. As far as Remivki salient is concerned, Russians are continuously counterattacking, but there has been no major changes so far. In north, Russian army continues offensive operation towards Sinkovka, Ivanovka and Kislivka with some small successes. Towards Liman direction, both Ukrainian and Russian army are engaged in counterattacks, and series of them in Torsky salient as well as towards Serebryansky forestry. Coming to east on Bakhmut front, northwest of it, in Soledar direction, Russians are advancing successfully and secured a foothold along Grigovka-Bagdonovka highway and also advanced towards Orikho-Vasilivka. On southern flank, Russian army expanded its zone of control at Klishivka and nearby forests. They gained some dachas areas as well. Fight is on towards east of Andrivka, where Russians launched offensive operation on Ukrainian positions and near the dam in railway track. In Marinka, Ukrainians are still holding a small portion in north establishment, which is north of the reservoir. In south of Marinka, Russians have entered towards Pobeda, where it took many tactical positions, and has also entered towards Novomikhailivka almost after a fight after 13 months. In Avdivka, fight continues near Stepov. Russian army has advanced a little bit towards Okeretino. As far as industrial zone southwest of Avdivka, Russian army has moved further ahead. On interdiction missions, powerful explosions were seen in Kiev as Russians hit infrastructure and military facilities. Also they hit in Odessa and Starokonstantinov military airfield in Khmelnytsky. This airfield is regularly being hit as it is being used by Ukrainian Air Force to fly Sukhois using Western long-range missiles. Ukrainians again attempted to attack Moscow with many drones but were intercepted by Russian air defense and neutralized. It can be seen what Putin meant, except on Kherson front, where situation looks like neutral, though it is not, as Ukrainians are pushing their soldiers to sacrifice themselves without gaining much land. Russians are on offensive on almost all the fronts and gaining grounds. And compared to what it was gaining a month back, now it is advancing at a pretty faster pace. On Palestinian Israeli front, Al-Qassam Brigade claimed yesterday that they have destroyed 72 IDF vehicles and 36 soldiers. Many more wounded and many equipments were seized. IDF however, continues ground operation in Gaza Strip in north and made some gains. In south, no changes despite fierce battle is on towards Khan Yunis. In West Bank, IDF is conducting large-scale operations for last 3 days. 11 people have been killed and more than 100 have been arrested. Towards Israel's north border, Hezbollah continues shelling IDF positions and counterattacks are continuing from IDF sides. A rough calculation says that Russians spend only 25% of what US is paying for similar planes, missiles, tanks, artilleries, ammunitions, etc. Because Russian Federation doesn't allow its defense industry to rip them apart. So the Russian Federation budget of 2024, which allotted 160 billion, equals to 640 billion in USA. Must remind you that Russian Federation has a fleet of super EMP satellites in high orbit above Earth with nuclear payloads. And also must remember that USA has killed 20 million people in 37 victim nations since World War II. I am not pro-Russian, I am repeating again, I am pro-people, the working people world over, and pro-climate, which is degenerating with every passing day, and against war. My aim of this video is to tell you that we must realize where are we moving to. Well, that's all. Thank you, friends.